clock ticking. And time waits for no man. Life goes by, and it goes by quick. Don't waste those years. Don't waste them. Live them. I want you to be terrified of sitting on the sidelines and doing nothing. Waking up in 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 years or 60 years and being no closer to your goal. You've made no progress. That is the nightmare. That is what you really need to be afraid of, being stagnant. So get up and go. That idea isn't going to execute itself. That book isn't going to write itself. Those weights out in the gym, they aren't going to move themselves. You have to do it, and you have to do it now. Don't wait anymore. Don't think anymore. Don't plan anymore. Don't contemplate anymore. Don't make any more excuses or justifications. Don't rationalize anything else. No. Take the risk. Take the gamble. Take the first step. Take action now. No complacency. No backing off. No slack whatsoever.
No more dreaming. Dreaming is over. I need specifics. What are you doing on Monday? What are you doing on Tuesday? What are you doing on Wednesday? You need to be very specific. It's time to put your pieces together of your puzzle. You need to be in a big damn hurry. Time is running out on you. There's 86,400 seconds in a day. The separator between me and you and people that win and lose is what we do with those seconds. And you're too slow. You're too casual. You think too much. You need to get in a hurry because there's an end to your life and it's coming sooner than you think. It goes by in a flicker, and at some point, it's going to be over.
And we want to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to start living life with a sense of urgency and using what we've got, using ourselves up, sharing what we brought into the universe to share. Because if we don't, nobody else will. Stop wasting valuable time. If we begin to live our lives as if each day were our last, our lives will take on a whole new meaning. When you die, when life is over for you, I don't want you to have one idea left in you. I don't want one dream left in you. When you die, I want you to go for broke. Every CD that you were supposed to do, every book you were supposed to write, I want you to get everything out your system.
And one shot at this gig right here, life. So do not wait. Go forward. No more waiting for the perfect moment, and no more indecision, and no more lies. Take the action. Get out of bed. Get your feet on the ground. Step forward. Give every day everything you've got. Every ounce of energy, every bead of sweat, every drop of blood until your last breath. And don't let another day slip by.
Let's go, family. Good morning, rise and shine, fired up, coming into the month of May. A lot of blessings, a lot of miracles are coming in. Let's just say the energy is there, right? It all starts with how are you feeling? The secret is the feeling. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and dive in today. I got a phenomenal topic for you guys, how to go ahead and be more productive and stop wasting time, right? So before we go ahead and dive in, let's drop some gratitude down below. What are you guys grateful for today? Grateful for God, grateful to be healthy, grateful for the family, grateful for each of you, grateful for the momentum, grateful for all of the abundance flowing to and through each and every one of you. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. All right, here we go. So I'm going to give you guys a couple different things to think about. Number one, I want you to go ahead and get your piece of paper, and I want you to go ahead and draw this out. Okay? Go ahead and draw your four corners, and I'm going to start with today. What can you do less of? Okay? There's some things that you guys are doing right now that's stopping you from getting to the next level, because here's what you need to understand. 20% of your activity is going to create 80% of your income. So if you're not spending the right 20%, guess what? You're not going to get that 80% of your income. So go ahead and write this down into four quadrants. You ready? Write urgent, non-urgent, important, not important. Okay, now here's how this breaks down when you actually write this. Let me explain this. Okay, so your priorities, your to-do list, what is important and what is urgent should be at the top of your to-do list. So that's the thing that you guys should be starting immediately, right? When you get up in the morning, start with your highest priority. So boom, whatever is important, whatever is urgent, you need to do it immediately. Now let's go to this side. What do you have that is important, but it's not urgent? Okay, you need to make a decision. What are you going to do about this activity? What are you going to do about this particular skill set or knowledge that you need to go ahead and learn? I don't know what that is for you, but you got to decide how to go ahead and implement it into your life, right? Now let's go down to the bottom corner. What is something that's not important, but it's urgent for you to go ahead and get done? You've got to figure out how to delegate that. Believe it or not, there's people that have different strengths than you. Now, if you can utilize other people's strengths, now that's why they say teamwork makes the dream work. And last but not least, right, what do you have right here? What do you have that's not urgent, that's not important? You got to delete it. You got to cut it out. Maybe you guys are scrolling too much. Maybe you guys are hanging out with people that don't see the vision. You're spending too much time with the wrong people. So I don't know what it is for you, but you're going to have to really sit down today and figure out what is important to you, what's urgent, what's not important, what's not urgent, and start to get them in line so you can really start to make things make sense and start getting 1% better every day. Ready? So that's my first side for you. How you can stop doing less of the things that you don't need to be doing anymore and how to put the right attention onto the things that you do need to be focused on. So that's the first thing I want to talk about. The second thing, right? This is going to be the mindset, right? What can you start doing today? So we talked about what can you do less of. Now we're going to go into what can you start. And I'm going to give you a really cool story that I actually took away over the weekend. And I'm telling you, this is going to shift your paradigm. Okay. Watch this. We talk about rich. We talk about being wealthy all the time. So here's the key that you need to know. Let me ask you guys a question. How much money does it take? What is the dollar amount for you to be considered wealthy? Drop it down below. What is the dollar amount for you to be considered wealthy? Let's see if you know. Truth be told, guess what? There is none. There's no dollar amount that when you hit it, you're automatically wealthy. Here's the truth. You're wealthy right now. You're wealthy in your mind. You're wealthy in your emotions. You can be wealthy in your actions. You've got to be able to be wealthy before it even happens physically. Because you know why? Here's what I've realized in many years of entrepreneurship, right? The past 5-6 years. So many people, you're waiting for this thing to go ahead and do this. You're waiting for this amount of money to go ahead and finally go ahead and do this. So here's what you need to know. If you're constantly waiting for this to do this, you're going to live a life in lack. You're going to constantly keep chasing something that you're never going to be able to catch. And I'm going to give you a story that's going to prove it to you. You ready? There's a story 200 years ago, okay? There's a king, and he has one palace. He has one kingdom, and he's looking to grow, right? He's looking to go ahead and create many palaces and many kingdoms so he can go ahead and live a life of abundance. So you know what happens? He ends up getting his wish. He comes across a lot of money, and he ends up building his second palace, and he's so excited. He's showing all his friends. He's showing everybody. He said, wow, I not only have one palace, but guess what? Now I have two. But it got to a point when eventually enough people started coming over, and a couple months went by, a year went by. He was thinking to himself, he's like, you know what? I think I want another palace. These two are getting kind of boring. So the lesson you're going to see is people are always looking for more, something you're not going to be able to catch. So watch how the story continues. You ready? So there's this king, and he hears about from miles and miles away that there's a peasant. And this peasant goes all around the world, and he gives value for pennies. He goes out and he speaks, and he brings one thing. He brings one item all around the world. He's a minimalist, and how he eats is off of what people give him. So he doesn't even bring any money. And the king hears from across the land that this peasant is one of the most happiest people alive, and he only has one thing. He brings one item, he has no money, and he travels the world and he gives back to people. So the king says, this guy has no money and I have everything, but he's so happy. I want to talk to this guy. I want to see what his mindset is really like. So the king ends up having the peasant come all the way down miles away to meet him, and the king finally gets around and he starts asking him some questions. So he said, well, how come you only travel with one item? He says, well, sir, I only have what I feel is valuable to me. I don't need all of the money in the world. For me to be able to give back to anybody is the greatest piece of happiness that I could receive. And the king said he doesn't really make sense. So he said, well, what is this lamp? He said, well, it's something that somebody very special gave to me. And the king says, well, I want that lamp. And the peasant says, well, I don't care what amount of money that you give me. This is something that's personal to me. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to give it to you. So the king says, you know what? Get out of my palace. I don't want to see you again. And the king ends up doing something, right? He ends up having his security, whatever you want to call him, ends up going out and he beats up the peasant and he steals the lamp and they bring it back to the king. So the king finally has this lamp and he brings it back to his palace and he walks in his room and his palace, his room in his palace is bigger than anybody else's palace combined, right? So he walks in and he's holding this lamp and you know what he says? He's holding this lamp and he's asking, I'd like more. I want more out of my life. So you know what he asked the lamp? He said, I would like 100 coins of gold. And the lamp says, wow, king, that's amazing, but why wouldn't you want 200 coins of gold? And the king says, wow, you know what? You're right. I'd like 200 coins of gold. And the lamp says, well, king, you're kind of shorting yourself. Why wouldn't you want 400 coins of gold? And the king says, oh, absolutely. I would love 400 coins of gold. And then it keeps going. You know, the lamp asks him, well, why don't you want 2 more palaces? And the king says, well, you know what? Let's go ahead and make it 4. I want 4 more palaces. So long story short, you know, this ends up going on for days upon days. And the king just keeps elongating it. Every time that he hits something, he realizes, I want more. I want more. And he expands it and he expands it. And 3 days goes by. And guess what happens? He doesn't eat for 3 days. Long story short, he dies. He was so focused on getting this that he never ate. And he actually dies. So that's actually what happens to a lot of people in life. You're so worried about chasing, that guess what? You're never actually going to get it. You're never grateful for what you actually have. And the journey never ends. You're never going to be fulfilled. Because every time that you hit a goal, guess what happens? When you make $1 million, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to make 2 million. When you make 2, you're going to want to make 10. You make 10, you're going to want to make 50. Then you're going to want to be a billionaire. So if you cannot be grateful for what you have right now, you're going to constantly be living a life of chasing something that you're never going to catch. You're never going to catch it because you're always going to want something more. So if you can learn to be grateful for what you have right now, this is where you start to become wealthy and rich before it even happens. So family, that's my story for you guys today on how to go ahead and put your life into perspective, how many of you guys want to get more of what you want and less of what you don't want? How many of you want to get more of what you want and less of what you don't want? It starts with getting organized. It starts with getting a schedule. It starts with getting your to-do list and what's urgent, what's important, and in check. Now figuring out what you need to cut off and what you need to spend more time and energy into. And to go ahead and end it off, as you're taking this action, stop worrying about the end result. Stop worrying about all the money that you're going to make. Focus on the skill sets, focus on the responsibility, and the money is going to come. I promise you that. So family, with that being said, that's my training for you guys today. I hope you guys got a ton of value. If you got any value, smash the like button down below. Drop some 7s if you believe May is going to be a month of miracles. May is going to be a month of massive action because I believe for each and every one of you tuning in, you are going to experience breakthroughs and break frees this month if you're willing to go ahead and take action and make the decision. So family, with that being said, it's your favorite entrepreneur, Define Dreams. You can be, do, or have whatever it is that you hold in your mind. You can hold it right here in your hand. Let's go, family. It's game time. Let's get to work.